It's time for Speaking of Speaking. Quick tips and tools to take you from stage fright to spotlight. This podcast gives you an inside look from the world of public speaking and speaking secrets you need to be bold from the stage, no matter what business you're in. The host of Speaking, Carl Richards.
Thank you, Matt. Yes, welcome to another edition of Speaking. We're very pleased to have another guest today. It's Jason Reid. He's known as the Power Story Master. He'll be talking on the power of the signature video. Welcome, Jason.
It's great to be here, Carl. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on the podcast today. Before we dive into the power of the signature video, because I know this is something that you're very good at and that you're very pro at. Before we do that, though, I wanted to invite you to participate in one of our features called I Can't Believe I Saw That on Social Media. And you know, Jason, there's a lot of things on social media you see and you scratch your head and you go, again, I can't believe I saw that on social media. So I wanted to refer to an article that I saw on LinkedIn, and it talks about feedback. And as a coach, Jason, you understand the power of feedback, of course. The article itself was more related to employer-employee feedback, but what I found ironic was one of the comments from a coach who said that, yeah, feedback doesn't work, and that's why I don't give feedback as a coach. Isn't that the whole purpose of coaching, though, is to give feedback and help people, expand and grow their businesses through that feedback?
Yes, I'm not sure exactly how you would coach or even consult without giving people feedback. It's interesting, though, because in some ways, within a certain context, I actually agree with that. Sometimes when you get feedback from an average person, especially if you're soliciting feedback, it can be a challenge because what most people don't realize is for the average person, when they're asked to give feedback, what they're really thinking about is themselves. And not from any sort of nasty point of view, it's just because they're not professional. They pick things that they think will make them sound smart, that will make them sound like they're providing value, when in actuality, they may not even be agreeing with what they're saying. So I think there's a really big difference between getting feedback from an average person and getting feedback from a professional who actually knows how to give feedback. What are your thoughts on that?
I certainly agree to a point. And certainly in the corporate world, there are guidelines, depending on what corporation you work with, that say, here's how we give feedback and why. And that might not sit with your values, or it might not 100% fit with how you would give feedback, say, if you were in the coaching role. And you're right. I think coaching, or feedback rather, from an average person, I think we look at that and go, well, why would I listen to you? You don't have that expertise or that knowledge. But I think that at the same time, that feedback is very important if you are a coach, or certainly in the world that you play in, where you help people put together signature videos so that they look professional. That feedback is crucial to making sure that they're hitting all the points they want to hit in a video.
Well, yes. And, that's one of the reasons why, when I set up Power Story Studios and sort of kind of set up the structure of how we take people through the process to get to their video, they're actually working with different experts, giving them different feedback, which is crucial. So when they start work with me, I sort of obviously work with them on the positioning and the messaging and the writing of the script. So I'm giving them feedback in a lot of ways on their marketing. I'm asking them questions. I'm figuring out what makes them different. And then, they go to a different expert to get some performance feedback, whether it's, someone like yourself giving them feedback on vocal performance or body language. We also have an image consultant to give them feedback on how they look. And then when they're actually at the studio, we have, professional producers who will actually give them on-the-spot feedback as they are actually recording their video. And the really nice thing that I think we provide is not only that expertise, because everybody's got dozens of years of experience in television and in speaking, but the fact that, we know how to give feedback in a way that's very positive and supportive. And that's a really huge thing, especially if you are doing something that a lot of people find nerve-wracking. So people obviously find speaking nerve-wracking. They find, shooting a video nerve-wracking. But if you totally feel supported and you're given feedback that's easy to follow and that you understand, makes a huge, huge difference. And this is where working with experts like us makes a big difference, as opposed to, say, just hiring a videographer. Because the videographer, yes, they'll give you a little bit of feedback, but they don't really spend the time to know your marketing. They're not necessarily positioning and language experts. They're not necessarily body language experts or image experts. So that's where, you really want to get that value add. Having any sort of video shot is going to cost you a certain amount of cash. Why not, sort of go whole hog and make sure that you have hired professionals that will make sure this is all done right, that you're working with various people, and that once you have a finished product, it's a great finished product.
I want to back up a minute just to clarify for anybody listening and scratching their heads going, what exactly are they talking about? And by the way, I'm talking with Jason Reid, the Power Story Master, talking on the power of the signature video. What is a signature video? How would you define it? How is it different from any other videos that people might have on their website?
That's a great question, because, as speakers or entrepreneurs, we should be producing video content on a regular basis. And it's great to go out and do a Facebook Live or be in your car or whatever. But it's also really important, especially if you have a website, to have one very professionally produced, I'll say polished, but we also need you to be authentic. So it's not like an inauthentically polished video, but something that's really eye-catching, that really sells you well. And the reason why this is important is obviously because there's a lot of businesses out there these days. A lot of people don't stick around. They jump from one expertise to the other. So having something that professional on your website is really going to make people want to buy from you, as opposed to the next person who may not have that professionalism. So in terms of how it looks, we're basically talking about a 2-minute or less video, and it really should have you in it. I know a lot of people are really big on the doodle videos, the whiteboard videos, and they're good at explaining things. But for this type of video, for a signature video, it's really about positioning. It's really about answering that question, why you, as opposed to your competition. These days, if people go to a website, they're ready to buy. They're already bought into, yes, say, I want to speak, I need a speaker coach, I need a speaker coach now. What they're really looking for is this the person for me? So having that 2-minute video that features you prominently is really important. And often what we'll also do is, if you have any B-roll, so if you're a speaker and you have speaker clips that you want in there, we'll add those. We'll add graphics. We'll add music. And, our editor is somebody I worked with in television for 20 years, and she's fantastic. And, even if you've got footage from a speaking event that is okay but not spectacular, we'll work and figure out, okay, what are the best parts of that, and how can we make it look the best? And then we combine that with a really nice studio based part of the video where you're talking about what you do to your client, and it ends up being like a really attractive thing that will actually close clients for you. This is something that people are going to watch and go, okay, Jason's the person I want to work with, or Carl's the person I want to work with.
Jason, you mentioned doodle and whiteboard videos. They're everywhere you look now. They seem to be popular. I don't know if that's the right word. Maybe annoying is the right word. But let's say I'm on a budget. Let's say, I just don't have the cash. I'm new in the entrepreneurial world within that first 2 years. I can't afford a signature video package right now. So I'm just going to use the doodle board or the whiteboard video for now. What's the risk of using one of those instead?
Yeah, the risk is you're not really, number one, showcasing your personality. If you were in an industry where you were the only person doing what you do, and it was so unique, you had no competition at all, then that might work. But let's preface this in having me say that I work with a lot of people who think that they do stuff that's totally unique. And because I've been in the entrepreneur world for so long, especially the coaching space, the education space, there is a lot of competition for everything. If you're any sort of coach, no matter what kind of coach you are, there's somebody doing something similar to you. So what you really need to do is separate yourself from the pack, which is what a doodle video will not do. So what a doodle video can do is get people interested in, oh, I need this, but chances are if they're on your website, they already know they need it. And it's not doing the job of selling you, which is what you need to close clients. We sometimes confuse being popular with having a good business. And it doesn't matter how many followers you have or how many people who think you're great. If they're not buying from you, then you don't have a business. And when they're not buying from you, you can't make that investment in getting to the next level, which is why I would say, getting that signature video as early as possible, as early on as possible is key. Because when you're working with me on the script, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what's your message, what's your positioning. And you can use that because I'm going to make sure that we can figure out something that's very elegant and very conversational. And it then becomes your sales message. When you're out, when you're doing networking, when you're writing copy for your website, you are going to use the languaging that we create to get clients. So why not get those clients now as opposed to waiting and investing in something else? It all comes down to sales. If you invest in sales first, that will make your business prosper.
My guest is Jason Reid, the Power Story Master, Power Story Studios, talking on the power, a lot of power today, talking on the power of the signature video. If you would like a follow-up call with Jason, or if you're ready to dive in and find out more about the signature video, Jason, how can people get a hold of you?
So the best way to get a hold of me is to go to my website, which is powerstorymaster.com. all one word, powerstorymaster.com. And there at both the top and bottom of my websites, you can click a button that will take you to my schedule and you can book a 20-minute free session with me. We can talk. I can figure out, what is it that you need? How can I help you? Is there somebody else maybe that can help you better than I can? I always have an open mind with these things. And that's probably the easiest way for them to contact me is just set up a free 20-minute session. And you never know where those things can go.
Jason Reid will also be at my event, Be Bold from the Stage, the Winter Speaking Showcase. He's a gold sponsor. Jason, we're so pleased that we'll have a chance to see you March the 8th. It's a fantastic day we've lined up for you. If you like TED Talks, if you like Mo Mondays, if you like authenticity and learning from some amazing speakers, you're going to love this event too. Tickets are $60. However, if you enter the promo code STAGE, you'll get that ticket at 50%. So $30 instead of $60. And we still have some available, so certainly reach out. We'd love to see you there. And also, Jason will be there, and he will have some samples of signature videos that he's been talking about today.
I will. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Jason, thanks for being my guest today.
Thank you, Carl.
Thanks for listening to the Speaking of Speaking podcast. Fired up about something you heard today? Want to learn more? Be sure to visit carlspeaks.ca. And don't forget to follow Carl on Twitter at CarlRichard72 or join the Facebook group Speaking of Speaking.